There comes a moment when you realize you've been living your life in quiet negotiation, bargaining with your own weakness, convincing yourself that maybe tomorrow will be the day you finally change. But tomorrow never comes. Does it? Because weakness doesn't leave when you ignore it. It grows stronger every time you choose comfort over challenge. This isn't just about motivation, it's about survival. The world doesn't stop for those who hesitate. So, listen carefully. This is your wake-up call. Stop justifying your limits. Pegasus is your wake-up call. Stop justifying your limits. Stop making peace with your excuses. It's time to rise and never sit back down again. The human paradox lies in the delicate balance between awareness and action, between knowing and doing, between what we are and what we could be. Humanity possesses a remarkable gift, the ability to observe itself, to recognize patterns of behavior, and to understand its flaws. Unlike any other species, we can reflect upon our weaknesses, analyze our limitations, and envision a better version of ourselves. Yet, despite this extraordinary awareness, we remain the only creatures who continuously justify our own shortcomings. It is a curious contradiction. The same intelligence that gives us the power to evolve also provides us with endless excuses to remain unchanged. We use our awareness not always as a catalyst for growth, but often as a shield for comfort. When we fail, we console ourselves with logic. When we fall short, we find reasons rather than resolutions. We label our fears as caution, our procrastination as patience, and our avoidance as peace, and in doing so, we slowly construct a narrative that keeps us safely where we are, untouched by progress, unshaken by growth, and comfortably mediocre. This paradox is deeply rooted in human nature. We crave safety, yet we are driven by curiosity. We long for growth, yet we fear the pain that comes with it. It is as if two forces constantly pull at the human soul, one urging us forward into discomfort and discovery, the other anchoring us in the warm familiarity of what we already know. Every human life becomes a silent negotiation between these two desires, the desire to rise and the desire to rest, and in that negotiation, many lose themselves. They begin to accept small compromises, postponing dreams until a someday, lowering standards until they seem reasonable, and convincing themselves that average is acceptable. But deep down, the human spirit knows it was never designed to settle. From the dawn of time, survival demanded progress. Our ancestors faced the unknown not because it was comfortable, but because it was necessary. They fought storms, hunger, and fear because standing still meant extinction. In that struggle, humanity found meaning, courage, and identity. But in today's world of convenience and ease, that primal instinct has grown dull. We no longer fight for survival. Instead, we fight for motivation. We no longer fear death by nature, but death by comfort, the slow fading of ambition beneath layers of justification. The paradox intensifies when we realize how capable we truly are. Every human being carries within them the potential to create, to lead, to overcome, and to transform their reality. The same brain that built civilizations, wrote symphonies, and conquered space resides within each of us. Yet most will spend their lives negotiating with their weaknesses, explaining their fears rather than challenging them. The problem is not that we do not know what to do, it is that we rationalize why we cannot do it. We create stories that make our limitations feel noble. We say, "I'm not ready yet," when what we mean is, "I'm afraid." We say, "I'm waiting for the right time," when what we mean is, "I don't want to struggle." Weakness, when given words, becomes justified. And once it is justified, it becomes part of our identity. It is not our failures that define us, but our explanations for them. That is the true essence of the human paradox. Our greatest strength, the mind, can also become our greatest trap. If one were to observe this from the outside, as if studying a species in its natural habitat, It would seem almost tragic. Here is a creature capable of transforming mountains, crossing oceans, and shaping the course of the planet itself, yet endlessly entangled in internal conflict. The human stands at the peak of evolution, surrounded by infinite possibilities, and still finds reasons to stay small. It is not nature that holds us back, nor fate, nor circumstance. It is the quiet conversation within us, the one that convinces us that weakness deserves negotiation. But weakness, like a shadow, only exists when light is present. The same awareness that exposes our flaws also gives us the power to overcome them. The tragedy is not that we have weakness. It is that we have learned to live peacefully with it. Until we recognize that awareness demands action, that knowing better must lead to doing better, we will remain trapped in the very paradox that defines us. The moment we stop justifying and start acting, the human paradox resolves itself, and what remains is not weakness or strength alone, but the true essence of growth, the conscious decision to evolve. The silent bargain is one of the most subtle and destructive patterns of human behavior, a quiet exchange that happens not in the open, but within the private chambers of our mind. Every day, without realizing it, we trade our potential for comfort, our progress for peace, and our future for fleeting relief. It happens in moments so ordinary that they often go unnoticed. When we choose distraction over discipline, when we delay action because it feels inconvenient, or when we tell ourselves, "We will start tomorrow." Each of these moments is a negotiation, a trade made between what we are capable of becoming and what we are willing to endure right now. The human mind, in its brilliance, knows how to justify these trades so smoothly that they feel reasonable, even wise. We say things like, "I deserve a break, I'll do it later," or "I need to wait until I feel ready." Yet beneath these words lies a simple truth. Comfort has once again won the deal. The tragedy of this silent bargain is that we seldom realize its cost until years have passed and potential has quietly decayed into regret. In the natural world, there are no such negotiations. A seed either grows toward the light, or it withers in the soil. The wolf hunts, the bird migrates, the tide moves, each driven not by comfort, but by instinct and necessity. Growth in nature demands movement, but humans, gifted with self-awareness, have found a way to escape the discomfort of necessity. We have learned to talk ourselves out of evolution. We tell ourselves that suffering is unnecessary, that effort is optional, that life should be easy if it's meant to be. Yet nature has never operated by that logic. Every living thing pays a price to exist. The more valuable the goal, the higher the cost. But while every other species accepts this law as part of life, humanity tries to rewrite it. We crave results without the journey, achievement without sacrifice, and strength without struggle. And each time we choose the easy path, we unconsciously make a deal that promises short-term ease but guarantees long-term emptiness. This negotiation becomes a habit. The more we give into weakness, the more convincing its voice becomes. It learns our patterns, our emotions, our fears. It whispers to us at the perfect moment, when we're tired, uncertain, or afraid. It says, "Adjust once won't hurt," and we agree. But adjust once quickly becomes a one more time, and a one more time becomes a way of life. What we fail to see is that every bargain we make with weakness reinforces it. Every excuse adds another chain to the mind. Slowly, comfort becomes captivity, and freedom, the ability to choose what's right over what's easy, fades away. It doesn't happen suddenly. It's a slow erosion. Like water wearing down stone, each small surrender carves away at who we could have been. And by the time we notice, the version of ourselves that once dreamed boldly and acted bravely feels like a stranger. Regret is the currency in which these bargains are paid. The older we grow, the more clearly we see the moments we traded away. We remember the times we could have tried harder, pushed further, risked more, but didn't. We remember the dreams we placed on hold, waiting for the right time that never arrived. The silence of those missed opportunities is deafening. Deafening. It echoes in the spaces where achievement could have lived, in the stories we never told because they never began. The cruel irony is that, in the moment, these bargains feel harmless. Skipping one effortful task doesn't seem catastrophic. But weakness never takes one deal, it multiplies them. Every small surrender compounds over time, creating a lifetime of almosts and if-onlys. Yet there is hope in this understanding. Awareness of the silent bargain is the first step to ending it. When you begin to see these exchanges for what they are, a theft of your own future, you gain the power to stop them. Each moment of resistance becomes a reclaiming of self. Each time you act despite doubt, you break the pattern. You break the pattern. You begin to shift the balance of power back to strength, to discipline, to intention. Because the truth is, potential cannot coexist with comfort for long. One must always consume the other. If we consume the other, the path to purpose is not built through negotiation, but through conviction, through the unshakable decision that your future is not up for trade. And once that decision is made, weakness loses its leverage. The bargain ends. You stop settling for ease and start choosing evolution. Get choosing evolution. And in that moment, life itself changes. For the first time, you are no longer a negotiator of your destiny, but its author. Nature's unforgiving law is one that humanity has always lived under, even when we pretend to have risen above it. It is a law older than civilization, older than speech, older than memory itself, the simple yet absolute truth that only those who adapt and endure will survive. In the wilderness, there are no second chances, no excuses, no negotiations. A gazelle that hesitates becomes prey. Bad hesitates becomes prey. A bird that fails to migrate succumbs to the cold. The ocean, the forest, the desert, all demand resilience, not comfort. Every living organism exists within this unspoken order where strength, awareness, and adaptability determine existence. Nature never asks what is fair. It simply reveals what works. It rewards growth, punishes stagnation, and has no sympathy for hesitation. And though human beings have built cities, laws, and technology to cushion themselves from the rawness of this truth, the law itself remains unchanged. It governs us still, not through physical extinction, but through the quiet decline of potential. Those who stop growing may not die in body, but they fade in spirit. In the natural world, weakness is not a sin, but it is never an excuse. Every creature faces challenge as a test of its right to continue. The cub must learn to hunt, the fledgling must learn to fly. No amount of pity will alter this truth. Failure to adapt simply ends the line. Nature does not tolerate the luxury of complaint. There are no comfort zones, no safety nets, no assurances that tomorrow will be easier. The only path forward is evolution, to become more capable, more alert, more prepared than one was yesterday. This rhythm of survival creates beauty, balance, and progress. And progress. It is why forests renew themselves after fires, why rivers carve valleys through stone, and why the weakest link of a species is often the first to vanish. There is a profound wisdom in this cruelty. It ensures that only what grows stronger, smarter, and more resilient continues. The same law, though invisible in modern life, governs the evolution of the human mind. Humans, unlike other species, are not bound by physical evolution alone. Our greatest arena of survival is psychological. While animals evolve through generations, we evolve through decisions. Every choice we make to persist, to learn, to endure discomfort, either strengthens us or weakens us. Yet we often rebel against this law, trying to rewrite it in our favor. We chase ease, build machines to do our labor, and construct environments that remove struggle from our daily lives. For a while it feels like triumph, as though we have conquered nature's order. But this illusion of control comes at a cost. at a cost. When we eliminate challenge, we eliminate the need for growth. When life becomes too easy, the muscles of resilience atrophy. The law has not disappeared. It has merely changed its form. Instead of physical extinction, we now face spiritual stagnation. Instead of being hunted by predators, we are hunted by comfort, by apathy, by the slow erosion of our willpower. The same force that once demanded physical survival now demands emotional and mental endurance, and those who fail to adapt to this new kind of struggle still fall behind. Consider how quickly nature exposes complacency. A tree that ceases to reach for sunlight withers in the shade of those that continue. In the same way, a human being who stops reaching, who stops challenging themselves, begins to fade beneath the weight of their own inertia. Life is motion, and to stop moving is to decay. This law spares no one. It does not discriminate by wealth, education, or circumstance. The student who stops learning becomes outdated. The athlete who stops training grows weak. The dreamer who stops believing becomes silent. Nature's law is both the simplest and the most just. Adapt or diminish. It is a mirror that reflects the truth of who we are becoming, and whether we are still worthy of the potential we once claimed to have. And yet, within this harshness, lies a form of mercy. Adapiko. Because nature's law, though unforgiving, is also fair. It does not demand perfection, only progression. It does not care how many times we fail, only that we rise again. The storm that destroys a forest also prepares the soil for rebirth. The hardship that breaks a person also gives them the raw material for strength. The pain that feels unbearable often becomes the very reason we evolve. Nature does not punish to harm. It disciplines to prepare. It does not favor the strong. It favors the adaptable, those willing to grow through the discomfort. Humanity's mistake has been to seek comfort as a destination, when in truth, it was always meant to be a temporary rest between struggles. We were never meant to escape nature's law. We were meant to embody it, to rise, fall, and rise again, endlessly reshaping ourselves in pursuit of our highest form. To live according to nature's law is to accept that life will test us without warning, without mercy, and without pause. Pause. But those tests are not curses. They are invitations, reminders that strength is not granted, but forged. The world does not slow down for those who hesitate, nor does it pity those who refuse to adapt. No. The choice remains ours, as it always has been, to negotiate with weakness and fade quietly into comfort, or to embrace the timeless rhythm of struggle and become part of something eternal, the law of growth that governs every living thing that truly survives. The voice within is the most persuasive and persistent presence in the human experience. It does not shout, it whispers. It does not command, it suggests. And it never arrives as an enemy. It comes disguised as a friend, offering comfort, safety, and reason. This inner voice is the quiet manifestation of weakness that lives in all of us. Each decision made against the will of weakness strengthens the mind, reshapes identity, and reinforces discipline. And slowly, as the pattern continues, the voice begins to lose authority. It never disappears entirely, but it transforms, from a command into background noise. Its whispers may still echo, but your conviction will speak louder. The voice within is not your enemy, but it is not your guide either. It exists to test your determination, to measure how deeply you believe in your purpose. It is there to separate desire from decision. Weakness speaks to everyone, but not everyone listens. The ones who rise are not those who silence it, but those who act in defiance of it. When you stop negotiating with this voice, you reclaim your power. You begin to lead your mind instead of being led by it. And in that moment, a quiet shift occurs. The voice that once held you back becomes proof of your strength, a reminder that you have something worth fighting for. The cost of compromise is one of the most underestimated truths in human life, a quiet erosion that begins the moment we start choosing what is easy over what is right. Each time we surrender to comfort, postpone responsibility, or give in to a fear we could have faced, we make a trade. We could have faced, we make a trade. It does not feel heavy at first. In fact, it often feels harmless, even justified. We tell ourselves that one missed opportunity will not matter, that one skipped effort will not change much. But what begins as a single moment of weakness soon becomes a pattern of behavior, and that pattern silently shapes our identity. Every compromise weakens the foundation of who we are becoming. Every surrender to convenience chips away at the strength we once built through discipline and persistence. Over time, these small, invisible decisions accumulate until they define us entirely, not through one great failure, but through 1,000 small ones that seem too minor to matter. The danger of compromise lies in its subtlety. It does not announce itself as defeat. It disguises itself as relief. It tells us we are being practical, that we are managing stress, that we are balancing our lives. But beneath those rational words lies a hidden truth. We are slowly abandoning our standards. Once a person begins to lower their expectations, they rarely stop at one adjustment. They begin to negotiate with themselves. What was once unacceptable slowly becomes tolerable, and what was once tolerable eventually becomes normal. This slow descent is what destroys potential. Excellence cannot survive in an environment of leniency. The moment we begin to justify mediocrity, we invite it to stay. And while compromise brings immediate comfort, it quietly plants seeds of future regret. Because deep down, we always know when we are capable of more, and that awareness never fades. It waits for us in moments of silence, reminding us of what we could have been if we had simply refused to settle. Each act of compromise creates distance between who we are and who we could have become. A single decision to give less than our best today makes it easier to give even less tomorrow. The slope is slippery because compromise is addictive. The more we indulge it, the easier it becomes to rationalize. The human mind craves consistency, even in weakness. Once it learns that compromise brings temporary comfort, it begins to seek it habitually. That is how potential dies, not with a dramatic fall, but with a gradual fading of purpose. The dreams we once chased so passionately begin to feel unrealistic. The goals we once believed in start to feel unnecessary. We convince ourselves that we have immatured, that we are simply being unrealistic, when in truth, we have just grown comfortable with surrender. The cost of that comfort is immense, but it takes years to recognize. By the time we realize what we've traded away, the version of ourselves that once demanded greatness has long gone silent. Compromise not only affects what we achieve, it affects how we see ourselves. Each time we choose ease over effort, our self-respect weakens slightly. We might not notice it immediately, but subconsciously we begin to doubt our own willpower. We begin to question whether we are truly capable of the discipline we once admired in others. Confidence is not built by believing we can succeed. It is built by repeatedly proving that we can keep promises to ourselves. And every compromise is a broken promise, Each time we say, "I'll do it tomorrow," and don't, we teach ourselves that our word means little. Each time we start something and quit halfway, we train the mind to expect failure. Slowly, the inner belief that once fueled our ambition turns into skepticism. We stop trusting our own intentions. This is the real cost of compromise, the internal collapse of integrity, the quiet decay of self-belief. Without that inner trust, even success loses its meaning. But the greatest tragedy of compromise is not what it takes away from the present, it is what it steals from the future. It steals from the future. Every small surrender compounds over time, shaping a life that falls short of what it could have been. The person who constantly delays action misses the momentum that builds mastery. The one who avoids discomfort misses the lessons that build wisdom. The one who fears risk misses the chances that build destiny. Life does not punish those who fail. It punishes those who refuse to try. Failure at least teaches. Compromise teaches nothing except avoidance. When we look back years later, it is not the great defeats that haunt us. It is the quiet moments when we knew better and still chose less. Those moments form the architecture of regret, a structure built one choice at a time until it stands immovable in memory. Kuda did. The only way to escape this cost is through awareness and consistency. The strength to reject compromise does not come from motivation, but from principle. A decision that your potential is non-negotiable is non-negotiable. It means doing what is right, even when no one is watching, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it doesn't bring instant results. It means understanding that the discomfort of discipline lasts only a moment, but the pain of regret lasts a lifetime. Even with Shekheim. Every time you push past the urge to compromise, you reclaim a piece of your integrity. You remind yourself that you are in control, that weakness has no vote in the decisions that shape your destiny. And the cost of compromise is high, but the reward of persistence is higher. It is the quiet pride of knowing that you never traded your greatness for convenience, that you lived fully, honestly, and without surrender. Discipline as evolution is one of the most profound truths of human growth, yet it is often the most misunderstood. In nature, every form of progress is born through resistance. Mountains rise because the earth beneath them collides and folds under pressure. Under pressure, trees grow stronger because the wind forces them to bend and adapt. Rivers carve valleys through stone, not because they are powerful in a single moment, but because they are persistent over time. The same principle applies to the human spirit. Discipline is not simply a rule or a habit. It is the internal process through which we evolve. It is the way we shape ourselves from who we are into who we are meant to be. Without discipline, potential remains raw and untamed, like unshaped stone waiting for a sculptor's hand. Discipline is that sculptor. It is the force that transforms intention into achievement, chaos into order, and dreams into reality. Evolution, whether biological or personal, is not comfortable. It requires challenge, endurance, and adaptation. The caterpillar must dissolve within its cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. The seed must split apart in darkness before it can reach the light. In the same way, a person must pass through discomfort to become stronger. Discipline is the mechanism of that transformation. It demands that we act not according to how we feel, but according to what we value. Feelings are temporary, but principles are enduring. When you live by discipline, you choose to be guided by purpose rather than emotion. You train the mind to obey the truth instead of the moment. This process is not easy, and it is not meant to be. Growth never occurs in ease. It occurs in friction. Just as evolution rewards those species that adapt to struggle, life rewards those individuals who discipline themselves through it. Every repetition, every act of consistency, every refusal to quit is an act of evolution, the gradual strengthening of the mind and spirit. Most people fear discipline because they see it as restriction, as something that limits freedom. But in truth, discipline is the only path to true freedom. True freedom. The one who cannot control himself is controlled by everything else, by impulses, distractions, fears, and desires. Without discipline, we become slaves to comfort, drifting aimlessly wherever weakness leads. But the disciplined individual, though bound by structure, is free in purpose. They can act with clarity because they are not ruled by chaos. The paradox of life is that structure creates strength. Just as bones give form to the body, discipline gives form to the soul. It shapes our days, our habits, and eventually our destiny. It is through this power that humanity continues to grow, not only as individuals but as a species. To live with discipline is to participate in evolution consciously, to become, through consistent effort, the most refined and resilient version of oneself. When you answer the call to rise, you begin to see life differently. Challenges no longer appear as barriers, but as opportunities to sharpen your strength. Failures no longer feel like defeats, but like lessons in disguise. You stop asking, "Oh, why is this happening to me?"